There's no way Disney's picking him up after his contract expires in April. They will let it expire, and that's it. Disney doesn't want this. Disney shareholders don't want politics. They just want they want entertainment. They want, and why would you want to allow 50 automatically, say, okay, there's 80 million voters that we don't want to watching our show. I think he's affected by the head writer, who's his wife, who's a liberal. That's
the head writer is his wife.
Yeah, that's way out there. Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I know, but the head writer for what? For the show?
For Jimmy Kimmel's show.
For the show
is his wife.
You see the podcast where he looked like he was a hostage by her over-liberal white anger and bitterness.
Over the past few months, Jimmy Kimmel's show has been having a rough time, and people have been asking, what's going on? Stop guessing, because Rob Schneider just spoke out with a very honest take on why things are going downhill. What he said was harsh, explosive, and more dramatic than fans expected. Buckle up, hit subscribe, and let's dive in. First, here's Kimmel's wild idea, followed by Schneider's fiery opinion.
If you were wondering how bad these Epstein files are for Trump, turns out they're Invade Venezuela bad. This is literally the plot of the movie Wag the Dog. The president gets caught in scandal, so he attacks a smaller country to distract us, and here we are, distracted. On Saturday, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by Delta Force at their home in Caracas and brought to New York. Trump watched the operation unfold in real time from the bunker in his basement at Mar-a-Lago.
So there's Kimmel running around with a conspiracy theory, wrapping it up like it's the absolute truth, all to take a jab at Trump. That bit? It's old, expected, and totally overdone. Now let's hear from Schneider, who explains exactly why it doesn't really make sense.
My response to that is it's a really good warning to comedians and other hosts and other people who do shows that if you go too far down the conspiracy rabbit hole, or if you just get too politicized, and then all of a sudden you're not you're not in the funny business anymore. You're just in the it's politics, and it's it's really a propaganda through comedic imposition. They're imposing their views.
Schneider says this isn't just bad luck. He thinks the problems are self-made. The show didn't accidentally go downhill. It drove straight into it. Schneider believes Kimmel left behind what made people love the show, real funny jokes. Instead, he turned into a late-night commentator who keeps talking about one political target. Instead of quick, clever jokes, now entire monologues focus on Trump. That constant focus, Schneider says, is driving viewers away, people who tuned in for comedy, not political commentary. Even fans who stuck around are getting tired of the same thing over and over. Night after night, the jokes circle back to the same outrage, same topics, same style. More lecture than funny. When jokes start sounding like conspiracy theories, they stop being funny satire and start sounding like political messages. Schneider says audiences notice this. They aren't laughing like before, they feel scolded. And when a comedy show forgets how to make people laugh, it slowly loses why viewers clicked play in the first place.
It wasn't funny, and it wasn't particularly interesting, and it's also just factually incoherent, because believe me, if there was anything in those files about Trump, the Democrats had it for years. They would have released it, but you think they would have hid that stuff to protect Trump?
Schneider also says Democrats have had those files for years, and if there was really something shocking about Trump, it would have been all over the news already. In his view, political motives alone would have made sure that any big secret wouldn't just sit around. Yet, he says Kimmel keeps acting like Trump is hidden in those documents, just waiting to be revealed. Schneider sees that not as clever satire, but as tunnel vision. It's like Kimmel wants to see Trump embarrassed, whether the proof exists or not. That, Schneider says, turns comedy into storytelling driven by desire, not facts. Viewers can feel it. Instead of laughing, many feel tired of hearing the same predictions again and again, powered by frustration more than truth.
Look, obviously, all that stuff should come out, but the presumption that there's stuff there, it's just how much more of this is it's people see that Russia was the only two people not involved in the Russia-Trump collusion was Russia and Trump. Everybody else seemed to be colluding. So I think the American people see through that. It's just like when you watch the news, depending if If you're watching CNN, you have to go, okay, what if politics is war by other means, this is war. So it's just a political warfare. So what are they not telling you?
Schneider insists this pattern isn't new. He points to years of headlines saying Trump worked with Russia, a story that dominated news, sparked endless debates, and fueled constant outrage. Day after day, it was treated like fact in public opinion. Investigations went on, speculation grew, and people stayed suspicious. But in the end, the results were more complex than people first thought. Now attention has shifted to the Epstein files, and the tone feels very similar. Allegations are treated like fact before all the evidence is out. For Schneider, it's the same cycle. Make the story, blow it up, wait to see what sticks. And when the claims don't play out as expected, credibility suffers. Each time that happens, he says, trust drops a bit, and viewers become more doubtful of the loudest voices.
It's treating your audience like they're stupid or like they're just in your own political echo chamber. And it's like, he listens, I think he's affected by the head writer, who's his wife, who's a liberal that's...
The head writer is his wife?
Yeah, that's way out there. Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I know, but the head writer for what? For the
For
show?
Jimmy Kimmel show,
For the
yeah.
show,
Is his wife?
You see the podcast where he looked like he was a hostage by her over liberal white anger and bitterness. Oh,
I think it's obviously, look, Jimmy Kimmel's certainly capable of being funny. I remember doing... yes.
Schneider thinks a big reason Kimmel's ratings are falling is simple. People feel talked down to instead of amused. The non-stop conspiracy-heavy jokes don't feel clever. They feel like a lecture. Today's audiences aren't passive. They can check facts with a few taps, see different opinions, and make their own conclusions without needing a late-night host. So when speculation is presented as absolute fact, viewers feel underestimated, not informed. That disconnect, Schneider says, is toxic for a comedy show. Late night used to be a place to relax and laugh, not get another dose of stress wrapped in punchlines. When people feel steered rather than entertained, they leave. They close the tab, change the channel. Schneider says this isn't happening in small numbers. It's happening in waves.
Oh, I remember doing the show, he was the MC while we did the Hugh Hefner roast 8 days after 9/11. And he was funny. He can be funny. I think when you get so emotionally vested in something, and I just think it's, I will tell you this right now. There's no way Disney's picking him up after his contract expires in April. They will let it expire, and that's it. Disney doesn't want this. Disney shareholders don't want politics. They just want entertainment. And why would you want to allow 50 of you automatically, take, okay, there's 80 million voters that we don't want to watching our show.
Schneider says this isn't just about creative choices. It's also math. When Kimmel's contract comes up, Disney will look at the numbers, not memories. Sentiment doesn't pay the bills. Ratings and revenue do. If the audience keeps shrinking, the financial reason to renew the show shrinks too. Fewer viewers mean less money, which forces tough decisions. He also says it's bigger than one host. Late-night shows used to have humor that anyone could enjoy, no matter their politics. Now, many shows lean heavily left and make jokes just for that audience. The risk? When you narrow the audience, millions of viewers feel left out. When people no longer feel welcomed, they don't protest. They just disappear.
When's the last time Jimmy Kimmel was actually funny?
Well, I will tell you, you can't really come up with like, well, that was a really good zinger. Jay Leno, you can remember. I remember his jokes, when he was on his thing. Hey, remember when Starbucks is, Starbucks is opening up another 600 Starbucks. And where can they open it up? The only place I can think of is inside of the Starbucks. He would have.
I know was the best.
He was really the best comedian of his era, and and he was.
But he was fair, though. That's the thing about Leno. He'd call out
all those guys. Carson, Letterman.
Schneider points out that early late-night stars knew one rule. If you roast everyone. No protected people, no favorites. They joked about the left and the right, and the audience knew everyone would get some. The humor wasn't about picking on one person. It was about the chaos of politics, weird culture, and shared madness. That's why people from different backgrounds could laugh together. Even if a joke hurt, it felt fair, and that fairness built loyalty. Schneider says that fairness is gone. Now, some hosts focus on one target night after night. Trump becomes the center of every monologue. When comedy feels one-sided, it stops feeling like comedy. It feels like an agenda.
They obviously, whoever's in power should go after, but with jokes. And I think, yeah, I mean, traditionally Trump has been thin-skinned about any jokes, but I also think those weren't jokes.
Adam Carolla was here. He was very complimentary of Kimmel. Like, he wouldn't say anything bad about Kimmel because he said Kimmel's the reason why he came up and all this other stuff. So he's got.
But I know that him and they diverge. But we have to move. We all have to. We can have divergent views without demonizing each other. And the problem with what Jimmy Kimmel does and what I just saw is it's just a continuation of the demonization of half of America. And well, who's that getting? Why was that getting us anywhere?
Schneider says it didn't stop with Trump. Now, anyone on the right seems to have a target painted on their back. That approach, he argues, doesn't raise conversation. It hardens it. Comedy, at its best, lets people laugh together at the same absurd stuff. But when jokes tilt one way, the audience splits. Instead of a table where everyone is invited, it feels like a rally. Criticism is fine. Politicians should be questioned and roasted. But when jokes rely on speculation or conspiracies, trust erodes. Viewers aren't against tough jokes. They just don't like jokes that feel biased, overdone, or detached from reality. Once comedy loses balance, people stop watching.
Again, it's just politics for political gain. It's some sort of, propaganda with comedic imposition. This is, and the idea that the audience is going to laugh. They're not laughing. They're applauding, in the little political echo chamber. I'm telling you, he won't be there after April.
Well, let me read this.
Disney.
Let me read this. Rob, is this Colbert? Let's see Colbert, but I want to go to Conan right afterwards, and I want to get his thoughts on Conan. So go ahead and play this one here.
Those Epstein files must be crazy. I mean, something.
At the end of the day, Schneider sums it up. This is why Kimmel and other late-night hosts are losing viewers. Late night used to be sharp, funny, and fair, making fun of everyone equally. Now, shows focus on political targets like Trump and sometimes drift into conspiracy territory. Viewers have instant access to facts, see the exaggeration and bias, and aren't fooled. Ratings drop, advertisers notice, and networks like Disney rethink whether the show is worth it. Comedy that alienates millions can't last. Schneider's point is simple. Viewers aren't rejecting jokes. They're rejecting agenda dressed as humor. The lesson? Late night needs to entertain again, not lecture, if it wants to survive. That's a wrap for today. If you liked this breakdown, hit like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.